in '96, I was given 2 weeks to live through my bad behaviours. I slipped up a couple of times within that first month, but I never went. I'd never had that decision. It was never a problem. What I say a problem. It wasn't never in my thinking that I would go back to the old behaviour. You've said it in a way, you've made it a demand, as opposed to an achievable challenge. I've just had a text from Todd Terry. As long as I'm in a position to be able to manage my expectations of me and not compare myself and live in the present moment as much as I can, that's enough. I met him. So he said, come to my club tomorrow in the morning. I went, I'd love to. He said, bring your records. Play. I went, yeah. So I took 5 boxes of records, all the records I had for the summer. Me and my best mate, Baggy, God rest his soul. We had turned up at the gate, went in the door. We just went, wow. To be part of that thing in the 90s was wonderful, dangerous for me. He sort of rescued me. I was on my own. I was getting bullied a lot, and he sort of rescued me.
I've got Mr. Brandon Block on the show, and thank you for joining me, mate. Again, I appreciate your time and taking the time to do this with me.
Absolute pleasure. Nice to talk to you. Is it video, by the way? Do you just put it as it, or is it just audio?
It's video and audio. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it goes on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, mate. So, obviously, you're a legend in the game. You've been around for a very, very long time. I know a lot of people are going to be excited to listen to this. I mentioned to Graham Farmer, the guy that runs Data Transmission, I'm getting you on, and he was like, that'd be awesome. So,
oh, yes, Graham. Well,
yeah. So,
see him at all these events. Yeah, he's doing all right, doing good.
Like I do with all my guests, is where you're from and where did your music journey start, the passion, and where did it all begin from the very beginning?
So originally I was born in the East End of London, in Clapton, born within the sound of Mary Bow Bells. So I suppose I'll be classed as a Cockney.
Cockney, yeah.
I then moved to Wembley, where I grew up for most of my life, from about the age of 3 or 4. And my passion for music actually started. I was very young at school, and I was sort of trying to find my place. And I befriended this 5th year. I was the first year. I befriended this 5th year Nigerian friend of mine who wow, it was quite choking because he sort of rescued me. I was on my own. I was getting bullied a lot, and he sort of rescued me. Actually, no, was with you, Nigerian. Not sure. Anyway, he took me under his wing, and he also happened to be the best robotic dancer in the school.
Oh, nice.
So obviously the robot was out of time, and he was fantastic. And he took me under his wing. He snuck me into the lunchtime school disco, where I actually met all my friends. Now my older friends, but we're still friends to this day from that chance meeting at the school disco. They were all like 4th years, and for me to be in there, Jaluggin, it was like I was very lucky. And so my passion of sort of disco dancing, black music, hip hop. Was that you or me? Sorry.
Oh, that's probably, I don't know.
Everything was born out of that lunchtime disco. So from then it was a weekly thing which I used to get into, and then it was the local youth club, which again was filled with the older lads. I used to go there, and I learnt my dancing trade there. So we used to, and then obviously from then you used to go to all the clubs that you could get. I mean, I was still very young, but the youth clubs, we used to have ghetto blasters, and we played hip hop and and electro, and a sort of break beat, and before that jazz funk, disco, and that actually for me then that was my culture, that was my social network growing up at very young days. So that was around, God, I don't even know how long, 45 years ago. So a lifetime. It's funny when you say that. It's a lifetime of music. It actually is. I mean,
that's amazing.
45 years is quite long. I mean, look, you speak about these rock bands, and the people who've been around for many, many years. The Rolling Stones. I suppose it's we're just the next generation up, aren't we? From the 60s and the 70s, we're now in the 80s and the 90s. So yeah, and I'm still grateful, I think, for this to this day to be able to, you know, ply my trade and enjoy it and still manage to, you know, have a good touch in the music scene, I suppose. It's something fantastic, John. You couldn't really ask for a much better
Yeah,
life, really, I suppose. I mean, it's when you think about it like that, it's quite profound how wonderful that is.
yeah, and I can't wait to dive deep into this. And it kind of goes into another next question of how did you break into the DJ like clubbing scene and start getting introduced to that from obviously the
I mean, continuing that story. So look, this group of friends of mine who, you know, I sort of continued to bump into and as I got older, became more friendly with, and then you know we used to drink in the local pub, and they were all in the local pub as well. So I'd met them before at school, obviously, and then as soon as we sort of got into the local pub, then cemented my place in the hierarchy, let's say. And the pub used to have a disco DJ, and he didn't turn up one week, and the boss knew that my friend and my best mate Ali had collected records from Day Dot and said, "Oh, you got records, didn't you?" And we said, "Yeah." He said, "Go home and get him. He ain't turned up." And I know he's going to be busy tonight, so we went home. Me and Ali went and got the record boxes with the milk crates. Walked down the road to the pub. We played music all night. It went off. He said, "Right, he's not coming back, the other fella. You can have this job every week if you want it." So we said, "Lovely." That was in 1983-ish.
wow.
83, 93. Yeah, about 1983. Christ. Yes, so that's how it's pretty much started. And then from then, you know, I was 16, 15 at the time when we started, really. So it was great. And yeah, wonderful times. And then from then, myself and Ali, we got offered a work for the other pubs in the group because they said, "Oh, we love what you do here. Can you come do a Tuesday night here, Wednesday night here, Thursday night here?" And we actually, you know, we went and bought a van and we had to buy equipment and, you know,
Wow.
with 1200s and all that stuff. And we went and did this incredible round. And then obviously moving forward, our nights out would be with the older lot. And we would end up in the West End at various nightclubs, one of them particularly being called Hombres, which was fantastic. And yeah, it was cheap drinks every night. There's these promotion nights with all the cheap drinks, so we used to get hammered most weeks. But yeah, that was the sort of growing up, really, mate. And that was how the music thing started. I mean, you know, the club scene moved into sort of acid house. 88. I was actually quite, if I remember right, you had quite anti-drugs at that time. I had a bad experience much younger in my life with some puff, and had a bad effect on me. And I thought I'd never do drugs again. Anyway, that didn't last. So I ended up trying an ecstasy pill, which, you know, heightened the whole music
Experience.
thing.
Yeah.
And my mates were all going out. We all went to warehouse parties, and you know, we was, you know, we were there in '88 at most of the early ones. And actually, where I was living in Wembley, were 3 of the first, the really like first acid house parties to take place. And I was there, and it was just incredible. The community. I mean, it wasn't just about the drugs; it was about the attitude and the whole, you know, the people getting together and people enjoying music and people dancing and people not caring and people just, you know, having fun. All right, drugs were involved, but it wasn't about the drugs. They were just, you know, sort of went along. They've been drugged, you know, they've been drugged for years.
Yeah, just about the fun and getting together and just enjoying the music, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it was just the whole thing culminated in just a unique like movement, really. Not movement, wrong word. Evolution.
Yeah, yeah.
It's never stopped evolving, has it? The new dance music industry, whether people know it or not, you know, every recording artist, every DJ, every, you know, radio DJ, every person who's attached to the music industry has some dance influence in their work. Everyone, literally everyone, you know, rock artists have to get dance mix done, or you know, ballads are sometimes remixed or sampled, or So every person that's involved in the music industry now will have some touch on the dance music industry because of, the technology and remixers and the producers, and, it's remarkable how it's changed the world.
Yeah, how was that? Because like today, you can see the evolution of like house music over the years from tech house, deep, and all that sort of stuff. How was it the evolution? Because I'm 35, but I didn't get to experience that moment. That's why I like to have these interviews. So I like to live the experience through you guys, right? So how was that evolution of acid house into the 90s for you, being in that moment and seeing it, evolve?
Well, it was all a bit whirlwind, really, to be honest. I mean, we can sit and talk about it now, but at the time it wasn't. It was something we were aware of, and that how we were just enjoying the clubs that were springing up all over the world. And, me and my peers, let's say, were having the maddest opportunities to travel the world, play music, get smashed with the locals, and, pretty much do that for many, many years. So it's only when you look back and you see the impact and the change and the evolution of, the house music scene and what it's done even to now. And, we're 30 years, we're 40 years on nearly, and we're 30 years on, and we're talking about it still now,
Oh, nice,
how it
crazy.
evolved, because, it's here. It's not gone anywhere. It's just got bigger and bigger. So, whether, obviously it diversifies and the music changes and different styles and different, genres, but it's, a lot of it's all related. So there you go. That's an evolve. It's it continue to evolve. The way the music is made is probably the only thing that's going to change. People still want to go out. The time they want to go out, the way they want to go out, maybe changed a bit. So a lot of people like the day parties now, which I do as well. I must confess, I like to be in bed by 8 o'clock most evenings.
Same. Yeah.
So you're lucky to get me up, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we're already settled, but yeah. So I mean, look, to be part of that thing in the '90s was wonderful. Dangerous for me, especially. But, generally just incredible. And to be part of the Space Terrors with Alex all them years ago was probably the highlight of my career,
Oh,
or one
wow.
of, not the highlight, one of them. Definitely, one of the best moments or periods in music and life. It was so carefree and abandoned and, crazy and wonderful and cosmopolitan and, no holds barred sort of parties
Yeah, and
with all people from all, races, colours, cultures, religion, everything. Just one people getting together under one huge roof and dancing.
I heard you mention the terrace. I'm guessing in space. Um, how was that evolving back then? Because I didn't go to Ibiza in that time.
When myself and Alex were there early, I mean, we weren't there when the first Ibiza 5 or 4, let's say, went there, which was Nicky Holloway, Danny Rampling, Trevor Fung, Johnny Walker, and Paul Oakenfold. They've sort of brought that idea of clubbing back to the UK. But then, soon after, a lot of people started going. And I was one of those in the second wave sort of thing, 88, 89. And Alex is there, DJ. Look, I met Alex in London. We became very good friends. We did some really crazy things together. And, I met him. I went out there and he was on the island and had been cut. He'd been out on the piss and trying to contact me through various channels. It turns out I was staying next to his mate in an apartment in San Antonio, and his mate came on about and he said, "You're brand new." Yeah, he said, "Alex looking for you." And I went, "Oh, okay." And it turns out he'd nicked a passenger bus outside Pasha, because he couldn't get a cab home, and drove it to San Antonio, full of passengers,
Yeah.
full of people.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I met him the next day, and he'd been in trouble with the Guardian Seville and everything. It's quite funny. But yeah, so we met, and he said, "Look, I do this club on a Sunday. And tomorrow, in fact, it was a Saturday when I met him. So he said, come to my club tomorrow in the morning." I went, "I'd love to." He said, "Bring your records, play." I went, "Yeah." So I took 5 boxes of records, all the records I had for the summer. Me and my best mate, Baggy, God rest his soul. We had turned up at the gate, went in the door. It just went, wow, look at this. Put the records behind the bar. Alex said, "Come on in." And then like that same week, the boss, Pepe, gave me a work permit and said, "You can work here with Alex every week, and
Wow.
did my social security number, and I had all that stuff when I first got there. So that was me done.
What a journey. That's wicked, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, great. So I was there. Like, I didn't have to go home. I could work in Ibiza.
Yeah, that's wicked. So from there then, like, how did it progress from there? Because obviously we're touching on like sort of the beginning of the 90s now and moving on from there. So how did it grow from there?
I mean, once word gets out, people start going to Ibiza, and then all the promoters, because the clubs in England around the world were absolutely flying, and the promoters from the UK especially started arriving on the island and wanting to put that. The clubs used to open one night a week, like the big clubs.
Okay.
Generally, Pasha was open every night, but then Pasha was the local nightclub for the island, right? So Space would probably open on a Saturday and a Sunday, obviously. But there would only be really one busy night, let's say, each night. So S Paradise would have a busy night. Pasha would be busy on a Monday and maybe a Saturday. Space on a Sunday. Coup on a Wednesday. Amnesia Tuesdays, usually phone party. Thursday would be Angels, or what was the other one? There was other clubs. I mean, but they were generally one night a week, right? And then obviously the promoters started arriving. People started going to Ibiza en masse, living there, staying there for the summer, which meant more people wanted to go out more nights of the week, which then meant promoters could come from England, promote their nights, and all the people from that area would go, and then obviously they'd have a busy night there. The same thing was happening from promoters all around the world, so they would come and put a night on, and the island just got busier and busier, and it became what it is, that the mega club, club capital of the world, and
Yeah.
but it's not just about that. I mean, it's a very spiritual place. I mean, it's very hard to say because it doesn't. I think the energy changes. I'm not sure, but I mean, for me, it's definitely. There was definitely a feeling I'd get when I got off the plane. It was like there was definitely an energy, a real good energy about just loving being there, and sort of love is in the air, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was great. It was great, and so look, it evolved as anything does,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Wow.
especially as Brits get hold of it.
Yeah.
So we championed that island, and look, everyone went there, and it wasn't long before every night of the week was filled, and every club was open every night of the week, and every night had a promotion on. Every night was a huge club night. Thousands and thousands of people, and these clubs were packed, and they were huge. Coup held 11,000 people. It was packed
Wow.
on many nights. Amnesia can hold 7,000-8,000 people. Pasha can hold 3, 4, 5,000 people. It's Paradise can hold 3,000 people. Space can hold 3,000 people. You do that every night of the week. It's not a massive island. It's not huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're still talking about, 20, 30,000 people going out every night
Wow.
in the height of mid-90s, I suppose, and maybe slightly later. It's mad when you think about the figures, because every night, and there was people queuing up to get in these clubs every night. You have to get tickets, you have to go to the advanced tickets things, and there's ticket sellers, and there was ticket promotion people, and the whole industry evolved around that. Flyers, promotions, PR people, entertainment people, dancers, ticket sellers, ticket outlets.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you think about how that just evolved into the huge business that it is. It's still wonderful. Look, I've done it every year for 30 years. So, you know, um,
It's an amazing story, Brandon. Because I actually live in Canada now, and I get a lot of North American people from America listen, and they always say like, "Oh, Ibiza, Ibiza," and for my North American listeners, your story is gonna. They don't hear this side of it, right? They see it online, and this is why, another reason why I wanted to get you on, other than many other reasons, but I just thought to share that because it is a fucking amazing story, of how Ibiza evolved, and even I didn't get to see that, So
I mean, look, the North America. I
um,
mean, we had American people who used to come to space way back when. It wasn't many though. I've got friends
yeah,
from Canada. You may have bumped into him at some point. His name's Jordan. Jordan does. He had a lot of clubs in Montreal and Vancouver. He was very big in the Canadian club scene.
I'm in Vancouver, yeah.
So Jordan used to put nights on there. He used to come to every year to Space, and they had some really cool American friends who used to come over. Obviously, all the American DJs used to come and play in Space and Ibiza. They were, we championed house music before the Americans did.
Yeah,
It was quite underground back then, following on from disco and Larry Levan and all that, and all the the DJs like Marshall and that 10 City and all the acid house DJ, Fast Eddie and Chippy and Tyree and Farley and to mention Frankie Knuckles, the king of house. So many of them, and Morales. Have I mentioned Morales? I think we did. So they all still come. Obviously, Harry Chusha, all this subliminal DJ, it's just incredible. So we were championing that music before. I don't know the connection between the house music and the acid house scene, because Alfredo, it was something that created in London, so the Schumann Spectrum, but they were playing all sort of Balearic tunes as well as house records. So look, Frankie Knuckles' Tears and You'll Love are huge records. But it was about people. I think musically it was about people finding soul again. In the music, like songs with love, songs with meaning, songs with emotion in. And it just so happened that obviously all the environment and the cultural stuff that was going on all mapped in. And yes, some ecstasy as well. It all just meshed into this incredible sort of, movement.
Yeah.
Evolution. We were part of this incredible scene, and it brought so many people together, as you said. And people stopped fighting on the football terraces. They were talking about this. All of a sudden, all the people who's fighting each other in football games stopped and started cuddling each other on dance floors. And that's what happened for a long, long time. And it's still changed. It changed that demographic dramatically. The whole thing. So yeah, very proud to be part of that whole first sort of cohort, I suppose.
Yeah, what was the like the best? I know you mentioned that you travel around the world and DJ. What would be the best sort of place that you've played at or visited that stood out to you the most?
I think it's very hard to say which is the best place, because look, Ibiza is the key. So a lot of my traveling came off the back of that Space, right? So you start with that one, but then you pretty much go to every wonderful country you visit, and they're all up for it. So each venue, each place you go, but I suppose the best thing to say is that they're all great. Nowhere really sticks out. I've had fun in every country that I've played in. I've enjoyed it. I've been asked back many times, which is lovely. I like to go back if I can, when I can. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a mindset at that time. People would just enjoy themselves. So the fact that you went to another country and played music, and people came to listen to you, was incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like like a band touring, or we were DJs touring, and we did it a lot. It was quite demanding as well. It was quite demanding for all of us. So
yeah.
I'm just saying that now. I know now that those schedules were demanding, and we were doing stuff, because you think about like Avicii and that. Rest in peace. Whatever happens, overwork, overwhelm, burnout. Alongside all the other stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was wonderful, and sometimes a bit lonely. In other words.
Yeah,
but I loved everywhere I played. I've met some. I've had the chance to meet so many of my peers and so many of people who inspired me over the years. So yeah, especially in the music industry, I've met people who've become friends with people I've never expected to meet, or anything.
Yeah. Who would be one person that you would say has inspired you the most that you've met in your life?
Ooh. I don't know, actually. I mean, my mum.
Yeah, I love asking these questions because it gets people in my family.
No, I mean, look, I don't. Who's inspired me? I mean, I think I have people who I think are called my mentors musically. one of my oldest friends is John Jules. You wouldn't name not have heard of him, but he was like DJ Wiz back in the day, and we're on the same radio station now, and I've been friends. We grew up together, sort of thing. I mean, I think, look, I mean, I think I'm more through my journeys of talking to people in the mental health field.
Yeah.
I had people who tell me stories which are, let's say, more inspiring. I mean, look, everyone's done well for themselves, and the DJs who are friends of mine are fantastic, and they've done really well, and all just stood here. So
Yeah.
hats off to all them for sticking at a great. And we look, and hats off to the people who go to clubs and the people who go out and come and support us, because without them we'd be nothing,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we'd be nothing. It was without So if any of you go to clubs and come and support us, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because you've made us last a lot longer. You made us very old.
Yeah. I was gonna. I know you mentioned the Avicii thing, and obviously, you've got a lot of skills, and obviously, you're amazing. You're a legend back in the day. A legend even now. Sorry, but I mean, you're a qualified life coach. You're a radio presenter, mental health advocate. You've got your city and guilds and all this sort of stuff. You've done work for the NHS. Like, talking about the Avicii thing. It can get lonely for these people. Like, and hats off to you for getting in this field and stuff. Like, how's that been for you? Like, meeting these people, getting the qualifications, and
I mean, look, I think for me that was a as you said, it's tough. It can be tough. It's a lonely life. It's not always glamour, and partying. Partying's lonely as well, because when you get back from partying, you're often on your own in a hotel room, probably coming down from something, hangover, or coming down from drugs or whatever back in the, so, and not realizing you're not really connecting on a deep level at that point. So but then you're probably tired, and then you're doing it again the next night. So it can be, so for me, the journey, let's say, has been cathartic, as well as, being able to help people, I think, because, in 96, I was given 2 weeks to live through my bad behaviors. And I went to a detox facility for 3 weeks. I came out and I never relapsed. I didn't go back to, taking loads of cocaine again. I slipped up a couple of times within that first month, but I never went. I'd never had that decision. It was never a problem. I say a problem. It wasn't never in my thinking that I would go back to the old behavior. I never had that as a worry. I was more worried about living my life, because everything was full of fear, because I've never done it before without being drugged up. So I had to relearn everything I was doing around people. And, the suggestion was made to me that I leave DJing and don't talk to my friends. And I said, well, that's not happening. Well, I love my music. I love my friends. I will just do it without drugs. And I did. And it was hard, really hard.
amazing.
It wasn't hard not doing drugs. It was hard adapting to life.
Yeah, restructuring it.
Because you're full of anxiety, confidence. Can I do this? Am I going to enjoy it as much? Am I good enough? All that stuff, but beats you up when you're not feeling good. You ask all these questions, and then you're not masking them. You're actually facing them. You actually got to deal with them. So I didn't give myself the option of going back to using again, because I just didn't want it. I was too scared. There's no way I was going to do that again, because I realised what damage it done to me. So I just had to realise that life's going to come at me. It's normal. Things happen. Things change on a daily basis. Life happens on a daily basis. As long as I'm in a position to be able to manage my expectations of me and not compare myself, and live in the present moment as much as I can, that's enough.
Yeah.
And that, if I don't aspire anymore, I don't have the aspirations I used to have, but I don't ever had any anyway. I mean, I was just enjoying my life. So I suppose, in a way, although I wasn't fully compass mentis a lot of the time and fully aware of it, I was achieving what a lot of people would think was fantastic, which probably, was the infamy and, the fame as a DJ and the traveling the world, all that stuff. That's where you look back and you go, Christ, I've done all that.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to be able to done all that, and do what I love and travel the world. So, I think it's managing my stuff. So, look, I went to work for a drug and alcohol service many years ago because I just felt the urge. And I think, we do. Once you've got through some of your journey, you've started learning about yourself and you think, oh, I can help people now, which we should have because we're connected creatures, humans. We get that empathy, hopefully. Not everyone's, I get it, people are all different, but sometimes, when you breathe through a journey like that, you do get an urge to sort of give back. So I did that. And on the back of that's when I did all the training, or, I started me on a journey of, I would call it, but probably the back then personal development, because it is. So it's through the drug service I got my sitting guilds and various other training courses I took, CBT and NLP and all this other stuff. And then moving forward, I then sort of I left that job because it started changing. All the funding sort of got twisted and it all became a bit convoluted. And I went and worked in the NHS doing outreach, which was really demanding. For the let's say the most chaotic people in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to people's houses and help them arrange moving on in life, basically.
Yeah.
So I got burnout from that, and then on the back of that, I went into Celebrity Big Brother, which I wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't very good in that either because I wasn't feeling great. I was actually all burnt out going in there. And on the back of that, I came out, and then I thought, God, I've got to go on another journey now because I'm feeling so worn out and empty as a man emotionally. And I did. I started another sort of personal development journey of reaching out. I started doing Facebook Lives with people with incredible stories.
Amazing.
I did work in the drug field again. I did, I did my life coaching sort of program with a friend I'd met through this world. And I have a lot more. I feel people's pain a lot more now, or anxiety or whatever you want to call it. I can feel people, and I can, you get it. I saw you can feel people not be struggling, and the world now is tough for everyone.
Yeah.
It's really hard, on a daily basis. It's about managing how we live because it's not easy. And you hear horror stories every day about people becoming homeless, and it shouldn't happen. Sorry, it shouldn't happen. It's just in this day and age, it shouldn't. It's not something that should be on that radar. But it is, and I suppose the only way to manage that is by supporting people as much as you can, or you're helping any way you can. It doesn't mean you have to be out there all the time because it's not easy. But if you ever get someone asking this, can I help you? Just say yes, whichever way I can, however that much means.
No, a good thing as well is like a small conversation can make a big help. Like my best friend, he suffered from addiction and stuff. He's been sober for I think 2 years now. Another one of my good friends, I haven't drank a drop of alcohol for a year. My father-in-law, he suffered alcoholism really bad, but in 3 months he switched it around and he's walking. Before that he wasn't walking.
Wow.
And even myself, I suffered from depression at one point for a year. And I got myself out of it. Basically, this podcast helped me do it. And just the reason why I do this podcast is to hear people's stories and in the music industry and share their story of like what their journey's been like. And since going through that stuff myself and seeing my friends and people in my close circle, you do open up and you are empathetic and you do listen to other people's story and try and give them advice and step out. Do you know what I mean? So I that's why I went to get you on because I think it's great what you do. So
Thank you, mate, and to you, well done to you as well, bro.
yeah, appreciate it. So with regards to sort of what would what would a life coach sort of entail? Do you specifically focus on people with that have suffered in the past, or people in the music industry, or
No, not always. Life cut. It's actually any sort of model of self improvement would probably be called life coaching, right? If you mentor someone, helping them with moving through on in life with some goal setting or life changes or some reflection, some stuff to help them move forward in whatever's going on. That's a life coach. It's not. It's another one of these sort of buzzwords which has now been. See, because I was a project worker when I used to work in a drug project, right? So I'd be called a project worker. So only when you come out of that, it's not going to make sense to someone. I'm a project worker. You're not a project.
Yeah.
I'm helping you to navigate life because I can allow you to. Maybe I can spot your strengths and because we get caught up in thinking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And when we overthink, we can't see the wood for the trees, right? So this is why, it's all very well journaling and writing it all down. You have to, you can do that, but you have to have the tools to be able to help you move on from that. And if you haven't learned life coaching, look, I advocate for it, but I'm not. I mean, at the moment, but I keep saying you need to be looking for the new project, and I'm thinking why?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the world expects me to, or because I want me to. So I sort of, I was doing my life coaching. I was coaching myself, doing my own, using my own goal mapping to get my goals done, which I did, and I achieved. In 2018, I achieved every goal I had on the board.
Yeah,
by using my program, which included putting on a music festival and losing 30 kilos and a number of things. Still a work in progress. Well, we change every day. Things change for us every day. The
every
world
day's a
doesn't
school
change,
day. Yep.
We can navigate and roll with resistance with the world that's happening for us or to us, and use it for us. For some of it, there's no perfect answer. There's no easy answer, and there's no easy fix. It takes work, and it's got more about awareness and being aware of what's happening for you. And you could be having a great day, and all of a sudden everything collapses the next day.
Yeah.
It's being able to manage that and say, look, today's not a great day. Today was a great day. Tomorrow may be a great day. But if you live in that moment and deal with what's going on, you're able to, or get help to do that. Then that's sort of managing life or balancing life. I think people need to know that the help is available.
Yep.
I think if you reach out now, a lot more people are empathic.
For sure, yeah.
And let's just have a chat, man. Even if it's just talking.
Just a normal little chin wag. Yeah.
It's just talking about it. I mean, I can't recommend it highly enough to whoever's listening, that if you feel that you're overwhelmed, burnt out, just reach out, man. I mean, look, the world's not fair by any means at the moment. I mean, it's getting worse. It's getting tougher. The horror stories you hear about people's lives just turning upside down within a day or two, however long it takes. It's just not. It's not great.
No, but it's like I've always said that it's not. They're not mistakes. They're learning curves, and every day's a learning curve, no matter what way you look at it, right? And it's
Look,
like,
if you can stay happy, if you can say to yourself, "I'll be happy for this moment, I'll be happy," then that does change some brain chemistry.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you face things with being happy, which is difficult, let's face it, we're not allowed to. The world doesn't like us to be happy necessarily, not too often, right? There's always something that's going to bring us down or try to. So if you could generally learn to navigate that stuff, your frequency will raise. You'll be on a better level. Let's say less anxious, less fearful.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. We live in that world. We're tuned. Our instinct is to be fearful because it goes back to caveman days, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We have to be mindful of what's coming around the corner. If it's a saber-toothed tiger, we got to be running. If it's a mammoth, then maybe it's food. If it's like if it's a herd of Tyrannosaurus Rex, get the hell out of there, sort of thing. So I don't mean they're around at the same time, but
yeah, no, it's all.
I mean, so instinctively we are born to be adventurous, but also careful sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. I mean, I speak to a lot of music producers, DJs, and promoters and things like that. And I think I'll get your take on this with social media. They see like a highlight reel, and they they're like, okay, I'm going to make it, and they're chasing, and then and they don't look after themselves. They're chasing something that is not readily available, because everything's readily available now, like Skip the Dishes or DoorDash, or all these places that can drop your food off, or Amazon packages just arrive straight at the door the next day. And I sometimes feel like some people think success in the music industry is that easily attainable when it's not. It's like a building block. And
It depends.
yeah.
Depends. I mean, look, what's your idea of success? I mean, look, a lot of people in music, but I'm not saying, I can't generalize. I don't know it's the truth, but I'm thinking what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is about instant gratification, right? It's quick fix. It's getting likes, notifications. Yes, it's a business tool, huge business tool. In fact, probably the only business tool which, is used now, pretty much. That people gauge you by whatever. But you can't look, if you get a hit record and you put it out on social media, you put it on SoundCloud or wherever, it gets promoted and someone hears it, it's instant success.
Mm-hmm.
And you would class that one hit record as a success, and it is a success. Let's face it. You got fame, you got played, maybe get a record deal. It doesn't work the same way as we did it now.
Yeah,
it's different. We can't. We didn't grow up. We didn't have social media. We didn't have mobile phones till mid '90s. So we didn't, or early '90s. We didn't have that. We had to communicate with people. We had to put ourselves out there. We had to go and meet record labels or meet A&R people, or get up your head and be a nutter in a nightclub to get noticed, or get radio plays, go out with radio DJs, see radio pluggers. It was a whole industry. Whereas now you can do your own plugger, you can put it out on the internet, you can share it with, if you're lucky enough to get loads of views and stuff. It's different. It's just different. That's all. Different.
Yeah.
Miles different. You can't.
How do you think people are best to navigate like that now with with trying to have this goal and achieve it and try and be successful and at the top? And a lot of people, they sort of close themselves away, and the anxiety gets higher.
That's because these expectations are unreal.
Yeah.
You're not all going to be like that, and that's why people get like that, because they see other people and they compare themselves to people on social media, and they compare themselves to people, peers, or even their friends, or whoever they know, or people that they aspire to. They're never going to be able to do what, but who knows that those people putting this stuff out are also in a bad place. I mean, I've seen certain videos where people have put, there was this thing about this girl who was doing a video of going out and getting changed and dancing around the room and and doing a post on Instagram, posted it, seeing some likes, thinking, lovely, putting the phone down, getting changed and, sitting in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about, and then it's about, you got to manage that stuff, man, because, we do compare ourselves. We all do it.
For sure.
It's in our hands now. We sort of look at it every day. So I don't have those platforms on my phone now. I have to go on my laptop to do any of that sort of sharing, and I don't get engrossed in the black hole sort of scrolling. Very occasionally now. Maybe I do get once a week I might have a 20-minute, and then I realise I'm doing it. I think, God, it's not good. I'm not feeling good, and my head goes funny, so I just put it down.
Yeah.
I don't do it on a daily basis at all, and I can't, because it numbs me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because again, like, people think they have to be online all the time to, to be successful. But then you're showing the other, like, the 20 minutes of just doing that and then stopping yourself. Like, that's a good thing. I think people forget that, and it's good that you highlight it.
I don't think people think they need to be online. I think people are addicted to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's not like, I think I must be online posting, because you can only post. You can't post every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes a day, because everyone gets bored.
Mm-hmm.
It's caused ADHD. People don't got the concentration. They have flick and scroll. Like, that's why TikTok works, because it's, I suppose, I don't have it. I don't know. I haven't even, because it's quick videos, or like nothing longer than whatever. I don't know how it works, but that's just why people really quick videos. Like, I can picture myself now. It's giving me a headache.
Yeah. I don't use it.
Like so.
Yeah.
It's not about I have to be on social media because there's nothing you're going to say which is more interesting than 10 minutes earlier. You got to wait for
Yeah.
that post to settle in. So this is why they say there's certain times to post and stuff because obviously people get on their phones and after work, if they don't take them to work, which is probably not doubtful anyway. I think anyone lives on them anyway. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a really tough one because everyone needs it, but it's how much you use it and what you need it for. If you can manage that and just do your work bits on it, literally do your whatever you need to do work wise, and put it down and don't get involved in that whole scrolling thing.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how much your head gets better.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you earlier actually, who would you say is like I mean you've played alongside some amazing people obviously, but like who's kind of stood out to you that you played alongside with that you enjoyed a lot? I mean, I know you can't just name one person, but you know,
I've
it's surreal.
played next to all huge DJs.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
crazy.
I've just had a text from Todd Terry.
Wow. This is a
Um,
highlight for me, Brandon. So it's just like whoa for me. So
I mean, yeah, but me
yeah,
too. I mean, look, I still get overwhelmed. Not everyone, I still get in awe of these people when I'm with DJ on the same bill and I play next to, or play after, and play before them, whatever. So as I said, I've been very fortunate through my career to have met pretty much every big DJ from the 90s. Whether
yeah,
it's in
that's
Ibiza playing together alongside at Space or, around the world or whatever. I mean, I had a chance and I've met nearly everyone. I mean, not now, not necessarily, not like David Guetta and that. I mean, I played in the same festival as Calvin Harris before he became huge.
yeah, yeah,
Actually met him, but we didn't get a chance to talk. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can't say. Norman Jay is I'm a great fan of Norman Jay. He's a good friend of mine. Um, I love David Morales' music. I love Todd, obviously. I mean, like my peers, my friend Ricky, who I made my records with back in the day, Blockster. We was on Top of the Pops, in 1999.
yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think
You
I've
good?
got a cold or something. Anyway, um, yeah. So no one in particular. I've had many, many opportunities of working with fantastic DJs. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's an amazing career, and like with everything you explained, like with regards to the mental health stuff, it's really amazing like stuff to hear because there's a lot of people that like I said before I speak to, and they're like, oh, I'm just so down. I'm not, I'm stuck in my room, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that, and I should be here, I should be there, and just highlighting like what you've achieved, and it's a building block over a 40-year kind of an amazing career, but also it can start again from something else, like helping
Yeah, of
people
course.
out,
I mean, look, it's I don't. Excuse me. I don't need. I mean, look, my door's always open. People know if they want to talk to me about stuff, I'm happy to talk to them. And I often get calls from people who are struggling, and but I can't force them to do anything. And I'm happy to help them. And if they want to, get involved and continue that journey, I'm more than happy. But I don't force them, and I don't. I say to them, "Look, I'm going to leave it to you. If you want to do it, we do it."
yeah, that's cool.
But
I
yeah,
I also looked. You did Missile Radio, and you you did the Missile Radio. So how did that start, and what does that sort of entail?
what's this? My Soul.
My Soul, sorry, yeah, I said Missile, sorry.
Well, so My
Yeah.
Soul is the offshoot of Kiss. So Gordon started My Soul after he sold Kiss.
Oh, okay.
So I was on Kiss FM with Alex, but we had the best radio. We had the most popular radio show on there for a number of years. It won a Sony award actually. Um,
Wow.
so we had that from Kiss, and then obviously Gordon started My Soul, and I joined My Soul. Oh God, nearly 8 years ago now.
Okay.
It's soulful house, soul, funk, black music, basically, dance music radio station.
Yeah.
So I love it. You know, I've got a lot of friends on there. It's a great station. It's, you know, very well thought of. Some great gigs come out of it. So yeah, I mean, I love doing the radio. So it's really good.
That's cool, yeah. I did a little bit of radio back in the day in Medway, but it was internet radio like in 2008. I was terrible, you know, 18 years old trying to be a radio DJ and I was useless.
Oh,
Yeah. So, what like sort of future plans have you got that, you know, you've got coming up and, you know, what's the next sort of goal?
this year I'm busy. I've got gigs most weekends, so I'm all right with that. My mum's not well at the moment, unfortunately, so I'm having to
That's what
navigate
it
that
is.
as well, go out to London. No, it's all right. I mean, listen, it is what it is. Thanks for, you know, thanks for the concern. That I'm not planning anything. I'm living life on life's terms, as they say, day at a time.
Yeah.
And that's not because I have to live a day at a time. I'm just living day at a time because I think you know, there's no things anything point in looking forward to too much. I don't need to achieve much more right now. I'm happy where I am musically. As I say, if people want my help, I can do that. I could always tap into that world if need be. I'm all right. And
That's good.
I just want everyone else to be all right. I think if you can live in that present moment, forget the future, forget the past, and, you know, and it's hard because we're always trying to, you know, be scared of the future. We're dwelling on the past, which is often, you know, if you've thought of all the happy stuff in the past, then great. If you can actually just think about all the happy stuff in the past,
Yeah, definitely.
things that
Yeah.
make you happy.
Yeah.
And don't worry about the future. There's nothing you can do about it until it's here. And it's, you know, you can only prepare your mind as well as you can. You can make preparation for whatever comes up the next day, but it may not happen.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, that's very good points because, you know, for me myself personally, I would look into the future and be like, you know, I need to be here by this time. I need to be at this position by this time, and I need to be. And you know, it's actually depressed me more than what it was me looking forward to it. Do you know what I mean? And
Well, you know what? Let's see.
yeah,
You've just said that. You've said it in a way. You've made it a demand as opposed to uh, an achievable challenge, if that what makes sense. So you've said, "Oh," it's the way you've said it. You said, "Oh, got to do this by this day." You're obviously trying to do something you don't want to do. Because if
yeah,
you wanted to do it, you'd be excited about doing it. If it was something that was going to change your life for the better, then you'd be more excited about doing it. You'd be finding a way to do it, which is what I talk about with goal setting.
yeah,
It's not smart goals because smart goals are just words. The demands, our brains don't like it. Everyone has a certain amount of creativity and everyone has a certain amount of articulation, right? It's just whatever sways your way.
yeah,
So if you reframe what you said into, "Oh, look what I get to do tomorrow," instead of what I've got to do tomorrow.
yeah, yeah,
It's that word change. It means something
yeah,
different. So it's a bit of excitement. And but it's this what things people often do things. I mean, it's difficult. You can't. It's not the world's not as easy as it used to be, or well, it's just different. I'm not saying it's easy anyway. It, there are some pluses and there are minuses. So a lot of the pluses are that you have a lot more things to enable you. You know, so a lot more things to enable you to do things like the technology we've got enables us to do many, many things. You've got to be able to sit down and say, what do I want to do? Am I in a position to do it? And if it's work related, can I find a way to do something I really like doing to make money to do so I can live happily? You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So it may be, you know, when we have midlife crisis or we're in a job because I'm in a job I hate or whatever, it's just they never have time to sit down and think their way out of that job. Whereas if you sit down, there's, you know, you can use the model I use, which works. But it's about sitting down and finding your passion, being able having the time to do it, which is difficult for people. I get, you know,
yeah,
life doesn't allow you this luxury of just, well, I'm going to take some time and find the job I want. It doesn't work like that.
yeah, yeah,
In an ideal world, if that can be the thing to do, you can do that, then fantastic.
That's really good. I really appreciate you changing the words there, because I used to really think like that, and I speak to a lot of people, and they do think like that. I need to be by this time, and it's great that you like explain like that, because it's like a chore, and it's not something passionable. Like, I get to wake up tomorrow and I get to do music in the
If you
studio.
say that to yourself at night, I've said it to myself just now. I'm talking about the gym in the morning because I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to go and do this. I'm going to go do this. And I'm thinking, look what I get tomorrow. I get to go and work on my glutes or my tummy or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll go, you know what? I'll get up with a slight air of excitement and go and do it.
Yeah. I do you know what I bought actually? I bought a plunge pole, and a plunge pole. You know, the cold
Cold one, yeah,
plunge.
cold. So, I mean, I live in Bournemouth, so I live by the sea. So I dip most mornings. I'm going dipping tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
It's
and
like 6 degrees at the moment, so it's cold.
yeah, and it's kind of same for us. I got a little a rubber duck thermometer in there, right? And me and the wife do it, and and every time yesterday I panicked. So when I got in there, my breathing got really quick. I was like like that, and I literally, so I wear my Apple Watch, and I watch my heart rate just
Your
race.
ECG went, yeah, I know. Well, don't
Yeah,
do that. Just breathe deep. All you got to do,
yeah,
if you do what Wim Hof does when he gets in the ice,
yeah.
just breathe deeply because your body will start warming up itself. You remember like the Human Torch in this Fantastic Four?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
I
Chris
use
Evans
I
theme.
use the
Yeah,
words flame on.
yeah,
And if I just stand there in the cold sea, let's say shoulder height, I get my head wet, but shoulder height, and I start breathing. I'll go warm up, warm up, warm up, and all of a sudden you start. What's the word when you uh, what's the word for getting the temperature equal? Can't remember what it is. It escapes me.
oh, can't remember now. Yeah,
Temperate. You get temp anyway.
yep,
Your temperature gets within sync with the sea. It
yeah,
doesn't. I mean, obviously you get cold, you get blue, and if you stay for too long, but you don't have to freeze. You don't start shivering and all that because your body's knows what it's doing. It's very good for you.
yeah. And you're right though, because I did control my breathing, and then something just switched in my brain. I was like, "We're okay."
Yeah, of course you're on cold. You're not. I mean,
Yeah,
you just it's that whole thing. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? The worst thing is going to happen. I'm going to get cold.
yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like you say, like since I started doing it, you're put myself out of my comfort zone to get in there. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it. But I get in there and I'm like, okay, and I listen to a lot of the health benefit podcasts like Gary Brecker and them sort of people. I'm like, how can I is this gonna change much of my mindset? And it changed my mindset completely. Like, I was just like, I can do it, I can focus, I can control that. And then that made me think I can do that with like any negative thoughts and so,
Well, you can.
yeah.
You can do all that.
Yeah,
There's loads of things you can do to change your thinking.
yeah, it's amazing, mate. Like, and hats off to you for getting in the sea as well, because the sea's cold as hell.
Can't wait now. I'm going to get in the sea tomorrow. Look what I did to do, and by the sea, I can go and get in it. Brad, sorry, yeah. I mean, how long did you want to do much longer? Or
I've done an hour, so I appreciate your time and everything. Yeah, that's plenty, mate. Honestly, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming on and explaining your music career journey, but also like the mental health stuff and the health stuff.
Lovely talking with you. I'm just knackered.
That's all good, mate. I appreciate it.